I think Caitlin Clark is already one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time, purely for the fact of what she has done on the court and also the kind of eyeballs that she has brought to a sport that really never had this kind of fame behind it, this kind of fandom behind it.
This intellectual sport icon just outrightly spoke out to defend and support Caitlin Clark because after being crowned 2024 Athlete of the Year, Caitlin Clark quickly found herself at the center of a media firestorm because apparently speaking honestly about privilege and race is too much for some people to handle.
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last two and a half years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
After her Time magazine interview went live, the backlash came pouring in with critics jumping on her every word. But here's the twist. Instead of backing down, Clark stood her ground. And what followed a wave of support from some of the most legendary figures in sports: LeBron, Serena, MJ, they all came out swinging to defend her. It's like the sports world's version of the Avengers assembling, and trust me, they were not here for the nonsense.
I feel like you have had to answer more questions than anybody about the intersectionality of race and gender and sexuality in sports.
When Caitlin Clark found herself at the center of a media firestorm, it wasn't because of her record-breaking performances or her signature three-point shots. Nope, it was because she had the audacity to be competitive. Crime apparently when you're a woman. The backlash was as swift as it was ridiculous, with critics scrambling to label her a villain simply for doing what athletes do best: competing with passion.
I'm so focused and so competitive and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last two and a half years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
And just when the noise from her critics reached a fever pitch, Caitlin Clark did what she does best. She took control of the narrative in a bold and groundbreaking interview with Time magazine, where she was named Athlete of the Year for 2024. She dropped a truth bomb that left the media and the world in a frenzy.
She feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it, though, so you should give her a pass.
In a world where accountability is often ignored, she dared to admit that her success wasn't just about her relentless work ethic. It was also shaped by the privileges she was born with. And if you think that was the end of it, buckle up, because Clark wasn't stopping there.
My favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important.
Clark used her platform to shine a light on others. She acknowledged the foundational role that black athletes like Maya Moore played in shaping the WNBA, highlighting how their contributions were instrumental in getting the league where it is today.
And a lot of the things stemming from Caitlin Clark's Time magazine interview, I could have never guessed that interview would stir up so much controversy.
And the world, well, they didn't quite know what to do with her. Some saw her words as a breath of fresh air, an athlete who wasn't afraid to tackle the tough issues head on. Others, however, weren't ready for this conversation and lashed out.
The players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism.
The players of the WNBA can't stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. Enter media mogul Megyn Kelly, who wasted no time attacking Clark for her comments. But did Caitlin Clark back down? Absolutely not. She doubled down, reinforcing that her achievements were earned, but also acknowledging the systemic inequalities that exist. Her message was clear: blocking out negativity is key when you're making history, and that's exactly what she planned to do. Meanwhile, the backlash kept growing, but so did her army of supporters. Sheila Johnson, co-owner of the Washington Mystics, publicly criticized Time for focusing on Clark as an individual, suggesting the entire WNBA should have been recognized instead. But let's be real, it's not Caitlin Clark's fault that she's a generational talent.
The opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too. So,
yet despite the criticism, Clark's peers rallied around her. Her former coach and teammates stood by her side, praising her leadership and her honesty about race and Privilege, this wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about the bigger conversation, one that dealt with representation equity and the future of women's sports.
That I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA.
Cue LeBron James basketball royalty and someone who knows a thing or two about handling criticism. When LeBron stepped into the fray, he didn't just offer support, he obliterated Clark's critics. His now legendary tweet calling out the absurd double standards hit harder than one of his signature dunks. And in true LeBron fashion, he followed up with an Instagram story that was equal parts supportive and savage. He praised Clark's competitive fire and made it clear that she was being judged unfairly. He even compared the backlash she faced to his early years in the NBA when people couldn't handle his confidence. Either translation, been there dominated that.
I think that Caitlin Clark deserves every single award that she has won this season, whether it be in the WNBA or beyond.
Caitlin Clark plays basketball like it's meant to be played fast and tense, and with zero apologies. She's not asking for permission, and she sure doesn't care. About outdated double standards, critics tried to make her the villain, but instead they turned her into a symbol of what sports should be: raw, passionate, and unfiltered.
I just love that she tries to stay grounded, and she says she doesn't. What did she say? She doesn't have a social. She doesn't look at her social, and I get it. I don't either, and I think it's so important to continue to do what she's doing.
When Serena Williams entered the conversation about Caitlin Clark, it wasn't just another sports icon weighing in. It was Serena freaking Williams, the most dominant player in tennis history, someone who's endured more media storms than most athletes could survive. Decided enough was enough. And when Serena speaks, it's not just words, it's generational experience talking. But Serena connected the dots between racism, sexism, and how women, especially women of color, are policed in sports.
If people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically. And hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing.
She pointed out how Clark's confidence was framed as arrogance, a narrative Serena has battled her entire career. Her voice resonated far beyond basketball and tennis, forcing even non-sports media outlets to reckon with the why behind the backlash against Clark.
Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
Michael Jordan doesn't do public opinions. He's famously avoided social and political controversies throughout his career. Republicans buy sneakers to remember. But when Caitlin Clark found herself under fire, MJ shocked everyone by issuing a statement, a move so rare it made headlines on its own. For Jordan, this wasn't just about basketball. It was about preserving the essence of competition itself. The media's criticism of Clark hit close to home, reminding him of how he was once branded too intense and too demanding during his Chicago Bulls reign. His support reframed Clark not as a controversial figure, but as a true competitor in the MJ mold.
Veterans are going to test you, right? And if they feel that you've gotten more money or more publicity, they're upset about that.
If the media backlash against Caitlin Clark was intense, the real war happened on social media, a digital coliseum where trolls and sports icons clashed in real time. Athletes like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and even retired legends like Dwayne Wade jumped into the fray, firing off tweets that were equal parts defense and flaming clapbacks. The whole saga became a social media event of epic proportions, one where the athletes themselves drove the narrative. The trolls lost, the fans rallied, and Caitlin Clark came out of it more unstoppable and supported than ever before.
A lot of these people with these really strong and really dumb opinions unfortunately happen to work within the WNBA or be a part of the WNBA.
When basketball royalty starts chiming in, things are serious. Legendary coaches like Gino Ora and Don Staley didn't just comment, they commanded the conversation like they were in a fourth quarter huddle with the championship on the line. Even ESPN analysts, those usually poker-faced stats-obsessed pros, couldn't help but break character.
People, for years and years, men have been complaining that ESPN doesn't cover sports. They cover critical race theory, and they're sick of it. People watch sports for escapism, to see competition.
What made these comments hit harder than a half-court buzzer beater was their credibility. These aren't just Twitter personalities looking for likes there. Respected voices in sports with decades of experience and receipts. Their support took the conversation beyond hashtags and memes, planting it firmly in sports history books.
you guys, where you have to look at some of these people's opinions and just stop arguing with them. I would get more out of arguing with a wall than trying to argue some of these people's points online.
What started as a basketball controversy turned into a full-blown cultural movement. It was like the world collectively went, wait a minute, why are we so weird about confident women? And from there, the conversation exploded.
You know, I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things, and that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day.
And through it all, Caitlin Clark herself, unshakable, no Twitter rants, no defensive interviews, just focused manation in her few public statements. She stayed calm, direct, and very much in control. I'm here to play basketball, she said like a pro who'd been dealing with this kind of heat her whole career. It was a masterclass in grace under fire, and it worked.
Claim it.
So I think for myself, like, it's special to see those young girls and those young boys that bring signs or are with their mom or dad or are with their friends. Like, that's a memory that they're going to share for forever. I remember my first WNBA game.